Come Pleasant morning and welcome to all Grenada, Carriacou and the Pidi Martinique, not forgetting you out there in the rest of the Eastern Caribbean and the wider Caribbean, so to speak. We are at the Parliament building in Grenada, and the occasion is the ceremonial opening of the fourth session of the 10th Grenada Parliament. And we are bringing to you live coverage. My name is Selwyn Noel, and accompanying me is my dear friend Sherma Wells. And we will be bringing you coverage of this morning's occasion out here at the Parliament building. Indeed, it's going to be a ceremonial occasion as usual. And, this takes the format of first to begin the arrival of the Prime Minister. And he will be given the general salute by the guards of honor out there in the courtyard. And then we await the arrival of the Governor General, Dame La Grenade. Indeed, it's going to be her moment because at the usual ceremonial openings of Parliament, we have the Governor General delivering what's called the throne speech. And, the throne speech signifies the style, the Westminster style of democracy, which we are in the Caribbean are accustomed to. So this is what is going to happen this morning. The Parliament was prorogued early in September to make way for this occasion. And today we are here at the Parliament building to bring you coverage. Pleasant morning to you, Sherma.
Good morning to you, Selwyn. It's always a pleasure to co-host everything. Reflect back on the days when we used to do together.
It used to be a blend.
In GVC, the Broadcasting Corporation.
It used to be a blend, but it is still a blend.
It's still a blend.
Blend remains.
And let me just say good morning to the folks out there in Grenada, Carriacou, Pidi Martinique, in the diaspora. I know that there are Grenadians all over the world who are anxiously awaiting this process. It is a throne speech delivered by the Governor General, Dame La Grenade, and she's going to set the tone of the budget for 2021. We would understand that folks grappling with the pandemic of the COVID-19 across the globe, and we are grappling with the effects, the economic effects of the pandemic. We heard earlier on when the Prime Minister indicated that he has been speaking with his line ministers, PSs, asking them to tighten the belt as it relates to spending, etc., because of the blow to the economy. So we expect a budget of a difference, I would imagine, this year, taking into consideration all the shortfalls that would have happened from the economy, Selwyn.
I don't think it is anything strange for Dr. Mitchell in that leadership position, because I was reflecting on last night and I recognize he's a man for all crises.
It is indeed, and when we look back, when we reflect, we remember the Ivan and Emily and the way Grenada really bounced back after those disasters. We were certainly heralded in many international forums for recovery after Ivan. So, it seems as though he seemed to be placed in that pressure cooker again, and he's going to cook up something real good, I believe.
Well, as a university graduate reaching the doctorate level, we can expect good things from him at times to help the country. You're looking at the country here now. As a matter of fact, the COVID-19 pandemic is something totally different from Hurricane Ivan. And,
Indeed. There is no question about that. I mean, when we look at the loss of jobs and the loss of the state making income, we understand it clearly. We're very sympathetic to those who are in that particular position. But as we move on and we have to develop out of this particular situation. We have to have all hands on board. We have to move the nation into some form of prosperity going forward. We see that the airport is now gradually opening. The international flights are coming back. There's some measure of control there, obviously, that is expected. And, things will certainly move. We've seen a lot of new and innovative ways of persons earning income, for example, taking advantage of social media in a big way. So the PM has been speaking about ITC for years, and we've seen a lot of benefits coming in that direction. I've noticed that there are lots of folks now studying online, which is exactly what is expected, you know. So taking advantage of that platform really can help us move in a positive direction as well.
I think it brings a new age for development. Probably we are in a new era, and look, we are accustomed to hearing the term new normal. I want to coin the phrase differently.
You always coining phrases.
Coin it pretty differently, as I gathered that from a good friend. It's the new future. And
the new future.
Thinking about the new future, you're thinking about bringing the youth along, because we've been trying to encourage the youth to come along, but they're not motivated. But this time the innovations will bring them along, because they are all into this technology thing. They have the movement is there in the palm of their hands, and through this it is expected that they're motivated to move, and you can get the country moving likewise. I noticed that Dr. Mitchell is putting a lot of emphasis on agriculture.
Before you move into agriculture, I just want to say, I don't want to say to you that great minds think alike, that you're thinking like Dr. Mitchell, because obviously his rationale there would have surrounded that of the youth and where they're going from here. Hence the reason why he has embraced them into his portfolio. It's a serious move, a brazen one. He's been, there's been some critics who said, well, you know, his age does not reflect youthful things. How unfortunate. Because I think that he believes in the youth. He believes in empowering the youth. And hence the reason why he's seeing them, as you rightfully say, the normal future.
Yes.
It's their future.
Well, he believes in anything that is uniquely classic. And as I said before, as a university graduate, a proponent of the arts of academia, he likes something to challenge his mind.
Well, you know that.
Yes,
we know that. We understand
he
that.
He likes the challenges. So I don't think that the COVID pandemic would be anything different. He's looking ahead, making predictions, and now I recognize that even the 2021 budget is going to hinge on the Sustainable Development Plan 2030-2035.
Yes.
So I think that all the structures, the policies, the programs, and the plans going to fit within that framework. Who would be there to propel that forward? I don't think I am of the age.
Neither am I.
I am to relax, and look to see where the youth would be bringing me. As a matter of fact, I would be there probably to guide them along, because
act as counsel.
Yes, we know the principles, we know the standards, and ever so often I've been complaining about standards. We tend to run away from the standards and looking ahead. We tend to leave the standards behind, but the standards would always come with us, because there are certain things that are, according to the great phrase, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But that analytical mind of the PM would certainly always be there, working consistently and ensuring that he deal with these challenges, not like our dear friend in the United States, but dealing with science in, in a big way.
And that falls right into his spot, because he likes to play with science. Don't bring anything before him that doesn't have data to back up the evidence.
And being logical, and it's interesting, Salo. I think we speak of a man who we have had the opportunity to spend a reasonable amount of time with over his career. More than some others may have, so we kind of understand him to an extent. Yes.
And looking at the development for the ensuing period, and I see that a number of things have been outlined, as I mentioned, agriculture before, and health, and tourism, and construction, so to speak. I see construction being etched here quite openly. So I think it is a matter of letting us know what's to come, and probably push the nation in that direction, because...
When you speak about construction, and have you noticed that the construction industry was probably one of the first to start moving after COVID? Remember when they opened up and they started projects that were on hold started to continue, and there's a sizable amount of construction work taking place on island as we speak. You know, and that in itself is a good sign of what's to come. You know, because reflecting back a few years when the construction industry actually almost came to a halt in Grenada, we saw the effects of that. You know, but what has been happening now, we're seeing the construction industry moving. It's moving, you know. Tourism is going to bounce back. Maybe it will take a longer time than expected, but certainly it's going to happen. Sandals is not up and running. American Airlines, JetBlue, Air Canada, you know, so it's just a matter of time. Once we are able to ensure that we as citizens do what we ought to do to protect ourselves and to protect our visitors as well, I think that we are going to see some good things happening. We have to also bear in mind, Selwyn, that the Caribbean happens to be one of the safer places in the world right now where COVID is concerned. And many of the international media have been tooting that the Caribbean will see an upsurge in tourism once things are petered out and people can travel again. So we're looking forward to great things ahead.
And we're hearing the term Caribbean bubble, and apparently that leads me to believe that for a greater part of that formation of CARICOM, there's a level of seriousness to go forward, because we are least affected by COVID in any way. What we have to do is to be able to control it. And once you can control it and move your development forward with some form of aggression, I think that we could be rallying along the same international standards of development out there before the countries in Europe and North America could take hold of the... So we are at the courtyard here. We are the courtyard. We are the Parliament building. Just to inform you, for those of you just joining us, we are at the Parliament building and getting ready for the official ceremonial opening of the fourth session of the 10th Grenada Parliament. And this, we have already seen the arrival of the Commissioner and now the arrival of the Prime Minister, is it? The arrival of the Prime Minister.
That's right.
Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell taking the general salute on his arrival here at the Parliament building, getting ready for the official opening ceremony of the fourth session of the 10th Grenada Parliament. And we will be awaiting the arrival of the Governor General, Dame Cecile Lagrenard, and she is going to deliver the throne speech, which will be delivered to her by the Prime Minister. And in that speech, we are talking about the plans, policies, and programs of the Grenada government for the ensuing 2021. And in that will be a lot of budgetary proposals, some of them that we are already accustomed to, but the movement is going to be a movement taking into account the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
And Cello, there will be, it will be under the theme toward Vision 2035, as you spoke about the 2020-2035, and recovery, transformation, and resilience. And I think those three words speak
volumes.
Volumes, you know. We have to recover out of this whole process that we're in at this moment, and we ought to be able to be very transformative to take us through, out of it and into the next. And that transformation is key, because depending on how we transform, we will determine the successes that we have going forward.
The transformation...
So let's see what's going on in the House there. Of course, we see the the maces are being laid. Um, and that signifies that the houses are now
Joint session,
in session.
both
Yes.
Senate and, the lower house, House of
lower
Representatives.
Yes. We can see a number of the
A proclamation by the Governor General Cecile E.F. La Grenade. Whereas by proclamation dated the 17th day of September 2020, issued under subsection 1 of section 52 of the Constitution of Grenada, Parliament was prorogued on the 21st day of September 2020. And whereas it is provided by subsection 1 of section 51 of the Constitution of Grenada that each session of Parliament shall be held at such place within Grenada and shall commence at such time as the Governor General may by proclamation appoint. And whereas it is further provided by subsection 2 of section 51 of the Constitution of Grenada that there shall be a session of Parliament once at least in every year, so that a period of 6 months shall not intervene between the last sitting of Parliament in one session and the first sitting in the next session. Now, therefore, I, Cecile La Grenade, Dame Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, Governor General in and above Grenada, do hereby appoint the Parliament Building at Mount Weldale in the town of St. George as the place where the fourth session of the 10th Parliament shall be held at 10 o'clock in the forenoon on Friday the 9th day of November 2020 as the time at which the said session shall begin. And members of the said Parliament and all other Her Majesty's officers and loving subjects in Grenada and all others whom it may concern are hereby required to take due notice hereof and give their ready obedience accordingly. Given under my hand and the public seal of Grenada, this 30th day of September 2020, in the 60th year of the reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, God save the Queen.
Almighty God, members of both houses, that they may wisely deliberate for the good of the country and for the glory of thy holy name. Please join with me as we say together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pray, be seated.
Oath and affirmation of a new member of the Senate. Put your hand on the Bible and read there.
I, Roderick St.Clair, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. So help me God.
to await the arrival of Her Excellency the Governor General. All those who are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. To the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. The ayes now do have it. Honorable members, the houses now stand adjourned.
Just to remind you that we're coming to you live from the Parliament building in St. George's, overlooking the beautiful St. George's Harbour. It's the fourth session of the 10th Parliament, and we await the arrival of the Governor General. She's due to arrive any time from now. The Prime Minister is already here. A number of ministers and senators have already been seated in the chamber. We see a number of permanent secretaries and other governmental officials seated in what is referred to again, Selwyn? Not the House,
The Senate, the joint session.
The seats where the folks sit. There's a name for it. I'm going to get back to it. And to witness this very important occasion. This is a historical Parliament sitting because it brings a number of challenges to the whole economy going forward. And it's unprecedented, as they would say. It has never happened in this light with a pandemic surrounding us that we have a Parliament. We have had other disasters, Ivan, etc., but never before were we faced with a health pandemic having to operate under that sort of circumstance. So it's certainly going to be with a difference. We were reflecting, we hear the sirens of the police. Obviously, the Governor General is on her way and will be here soon to deliver the throne speech. But we were reflecting, Selwyn, on the theme of the budget, which will set the pace for 2021. And we got to transformation and resilience. And when we talk about resilience, we talk about really bouncing back and coming back. And again, another extremely important word chosen there, because we must understand the process, what we have to do, and where we have to go.
And we're talking here about more the efforts of the citizens of this land. You lead them into a certain direction and encourage them to go, because this is what it takes. Let's go over to the courtyard. Apparently we have the arrival of the Governor General.
the, gov- the Governor General taking the salute. You know, Selwyn, as I look at Dame Cecile standing on the platform, I can say that fashion has evolved.
Royal blue.
Not only the royal blue, but I'm looking at the blue mask on her face, really in keeping with her attire this morning. And it's amazing how mask now makes a fashion statement in so many different areas, you know. I looked at her when she was swearing in the various new ministers, to their new portfolios, I should say, and I was thrilled to see the various different color mask that she was wearing for that occasion. Interestingly, you know, someone once said, could you imagine going into the bank wearing a mask? No? You couldn't do that before. But there she is, expecting her troops. It's a Royal Grenada Police Force, and that reflects that she has, that's her troops, yeah?
That's the authority.
Yes, yes, you know. And often she would, you know, make a little stop and say hello or ask someone how they're doing, you know, as the usual courtesies that would be extended. It is rather hot up here today. I know that Nadla indicated that we may have, I say use the word may, a little tropical upper convection as referred to. And I'm not sure whether this is a signal of what's to come a little bit later, but hopefully the weather will hold nicely. We did have a light shower when we first came up to the Parliament area, but certainly it has held up nicely for the Prime Minister coming in and also the Governor General. I'm sure that she's pretty proud with the officers out there. They always look rather perfect, if I may say so. I've seen Selwyn in long ago, and reflect to a very long time ago, when Governor General literally held on to the jacket of a police officer and tugged it, pulled it down, you know, straighten up. Yeah.
They are properly attired now. Usually they would have their inspection before getting into this.
Yeah. You know, and again, folks, I just want to welcome the folks on radio, because I understand that there are a number of radio stations who carrying this as well, especially Real FM in St. Patrick. To the folks in the northern area, good morning to you all. We are at the Parliament building, bringing you the fourth session of the 10th Parliament. General arriving, taking her salute, inspecting her troops. She's heading into the anteroom, it's called, before she appears into the chamber itself, which is the normal process that takes place here at Parliament Building. You know, Selwyn, a lot of folks today speak about, you remember a while ago, you talk about literally procedure, and, you know, a lot of folks speak about this very Westminster type.
It is something that we have been relying on over the years to drive our democracy, patterned from the colonial past, right? And I don't think only now within the CARICOM bubble I noticed that a number of countries are looking to get out and go republic, and it takes some doing. Apparently, most of the countries, few of them, I would say, that have different constitutions. In a situation like Grenada, you have to change your constitution, you must get a 2/3 majority from the people. Yeah, you would get that from within the parliament itself, but then you have to go to the people in a referendum.
Well, you must go to the people.
Some countries don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, they
well,
bypass
most
it. Yes.
most of our regional colleagues follow the basic constitution that we have. When you really look at it, you know, I remember the Prime Minister of St. Vincent saying that St. Vincent is like England decided after Grenada had independence, we're just going to throw that constitution on all who else come our way. You know, we look at Barbados today, who's talking about being a republic, and serious talk on that matter. Are we ready to move in that direction? I can't say. I'm not a constitutional person, but I do believe that there is some measure for reform within the Constitution.
Yes, obviously so.
What we've seen, however, what we have the liberty or the right to do, for example, we no longer wear those wigs in the Parliament. And that is a step in the right direction.
It took some doing, though. It did take some doing. After a time, people got frustrated with the heat that it brings, and that is just a move in the direction. But we had it. There were 2 constitution review matters put to referendum, and it was thrown out the door. So I'm not too sure when the next one is going to happen. If it is, you know.
You know, and it takes, as you remember, you were referring to people moving in the same direction. That's what it takes, a holistic approach, a holistic move to make it happen, a 2/3 majority.
First of all, people need to understand what it really is and what it brings to your country, the benefits that I remember when Trinidad and Tobago was going a republic, and they moved aggressively at getting into the republic. Their development is far different to the development of our countries, Guyana just as well. They got that economic buffer, you know, the oil boom carries their country, while at the same time they have developed into manufacturing, which is very important for the export market. We need to get into a lot of manufacturing here. I think that we need to bring the agriculture sectors along and show them how to make these get these value-added products moving out into the international market. I think this is where the revenue is.
And in the agro-industry, serious revamping of the agro-industry is important, because, you know, when you look at our land base and we look at the competition with bigger nations, bigger land space to produce more, they have a better chance of grasping the international markets out there. We are a small island, but we can be unique, we can be different, and I think one of the areas that can really propel us in that direction is through the agro-industry. Yes. Yeah.
This is a reminder for you again out there, those of you viewing and listening. We are at the Parliament building. It's the ceremonial opening of the 4th session of the 10th Grenada Parliament, and we are expecting the Governor General to arrive in the chamber. Remember, it's a joint sitting today where you have the activity, senators and members of Parliament, the representatives, constituency representatives in Parliament together, and they are going to hear the presentation of the throne speech, which is going to be delivered by the Governor General. It's going to be handed to her by the Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, and it's all in the planning for the 2021 budget and for the development of the country in the year 2021. Know that you have been getting some hints here and there along the line, because with the framework, the budgetary framework, there have been a number of consultations in the various sectors, and we like to say the stakeholders giving their advice on certain policies that the government needs to employ in going forward. Going forward this time is not going to be an easy going forward. It's going to be a COVID pandemic future that we're heading into already. The citizens were placed in that position. The fanfare for the arrival of the Governor General in the chamber.
The lady of the hour, Dame Cecilia Grenada, escorted to deliver the speech. And according to the information we've received, the throne speech is also expected to detail some of government's plans to stimulate economic recovery and to continue forging ahead with development. The speech.
Cecile La
Mr.
Grenade.
President, Mr. Speaker, members of Parliament, our nation embarks on this fourth session of the 10th Parliament in a time of unprecedented challenges. As a small island developing state, our country has been dealt a severe blow by the unfolding COVID-19 pandemic, with devastating impacts on our economy and our way of life. My government's response thus far to curb the spread of this deadly virus and mitigate its economic impact has been broadly successful. We are fortunate to have had no COVID-related deaths locally, and there is no evidence of community spread of the virus at this time. While this is extremely good news, the pandemic is far from over. And even as we continue to face tremendous uncertainty, we must now begin to chart the way forward to a better and brighter future. With God on our side, we remain undaunted and confident that we will overcome our current challenges and emerge stronger and more resilient as a nation and a people.